Yo, what up, everybody? My name is Drake Demore from the Win City Sports Podcast, and this episode of Cedric Ben's Combat Quarter is brought to you by the Win City Sports Podcast. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere podcasts are found, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or directly on wincitysports.com. Smell you later.
What up, what up, what up? Here to make my official prediction for this, for the big fight this Saturday. The heavyweights and the rematch. Deontay the Bronze Bomber versus Luis King Kong Ortiz. Yeah, this is the rematch. The first fight was a good one. It was close, back and forth up until the stoppage. Luis Ortiz actually had Deontay Wilder hurt real bad. Well, no, not real bad, but he definitely was in a position to try to finish him off. I believe it was the 5th or 6th round. Wilder was able to weather the storm. And just like 95% of the rest of Wilder's opponents, he was able to knock him out. And so my official prediction for this Saturday is a fifth round stoppage for Deontay Wilder. Because I'm assuming that he's done his homework, done his studying of the fight, seen where he could have capitalized. Well, I mean, both, in a rematch, both boxers are obviously looking at the fight and seeing where they could have capitalized in spots and seeing the mistakes that they could have done to make sure they don't make those mistakes again. But speaking of Deontay Wilder first, I'm assuming he has a good coach. His coach is Mark Breland, one of the best amateur boxers of all time, who fought this. He was a lot lighter, but fought the same way with long jabs. So I'm assuming Deontay Wilder is going to be jabbing a lot more, even though Ortiz is a southpaw. Sometimes it's hard because the southpaw's right hand is kind of in the way. But Deontay's long, awkward, athletic arms should be able to figure that out, even if he doesn't touch him, just to keep it in his face, just to distract him. Sometimes you can use that jab. It doesn't always have to land, but even if it's just touching the gloves or just making the person have to, have a slight head movement, whether they slip or try to catch it or try to step to the side, it just makes them have to react to it. So I think Deontay Wilder is going to keep that jab up in Ortiz's face, and then eventually that right hand is going to come right down the middle like it did for everybody else, and that'll be the end of that. For Ortiz, he's Cuban, so he definitely has a strong boxing IQ, strong boxing background, and he showed that in his last fight. I don't know. It has nothing to do with his skills. It's more of that extra gear of strength that Deontay Wilder has. I tell people all the time, even if you played other sports, you've seen athletes before that, some kid is just naturally fast without practicing. Some kids are naturally stronger without lifting weights, just naturally stronger. Deontay Wilder, he has that extra gear of power. And don't forget, I always remind people, this guy, he only weighs like 215. He's 6'7", but he's only about 215. He's fighting all these guys like Fury and Joshua and all these guys. These guys are all 240, 250 of muscle. So that just shows you the power that this guy has. So, yeah, man, Deontay Wilder, I'm going with him. I think Ortiz will put up a good run for the first 2-3 rounds. But yeah, I think Wilder will figure that he's going to land that right hand before the 5th round. He's going to remember the way he got caught last time and do his best to avoid it. Not that he's going to 100% avoid it, but, like I said, great fighters do their homework and look better in their rematches in recent history. Most of the time, great fighters, if they have a rematch, they look better in that rematch and make it more convincing that they won. So I think that's what's going to happen. Be careful listening to these critics out there, man. Boxing, not just the fans, but even the commentators, they're a lot harder on these guys than I believe they should be. A lot of people are going to try to say about Luis Ortiz. He said he claims to be 40 years old, but in Cuba, sometimes guys, they lie about their age. I don't care. The bottom line is, first of all, there's two things. First of all, he can still fight. I don't care how old he is, he can still fight. You know, you look at Floyd, look at Bernard Hopkins, these guys can still fight in their 40s. Another thing is, in the heavyweight division, you're not relying on your speed and reflexes as much as you do when you're in the lighter weight classes. You know, heavyweights can fight into their late, not super late ages, but a little bit older than the lighter weight classes. George Foreman came back and won the heavyweight title at 45 years old. And so don't just try to listen to what these critics say and say, oh yeah, Ortiz is a bum and Wilder's just gonna knock him out. I'm still predicting a knockout, obviously, but not because Ortiz is not a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. It's just that extra, as I said a million times before, that extra gear of strength that Wilder has. So yeah, there's only two people in his 40 or 41 fights that Deontay Wilder has that actually went the distance. Bermain Stavern, my boy from Montreal. My heart was with my Montreal boy, but you know, my brain obviously was with Wilder for that fight. Bermain went the distance with him, and in the rematch, Wilder took care of him. I think it was the second or third round, badly. And then the Tyson Fury match, controversial draw. A lot of people had Fury winning. I still don't know how he got up for that with that left hand, that straight cross in that 12th round. So that rematch should be interesting too if it happens. Well, let's see. Let's make sure Fury gets past his next opponent first. If he can get another opponent. This guy's doing wrestling and all types of other stuff. Anyways, back to the topic. Wilder and Ortiz this Saturday. 5th round KO for Wilder. And we'll go from there. Yeah. Cedric's Combat Corner will be back this Sunday or Monday. You know, usually I like to wait to put out my show later on during the week so I can listen to other shows and see what they're talking about, see where their heads are at, listen to what the callers are saying, and then I'll come on my own show and give my opinion. Because when you call into these other shows, you know, you gotta wait on hold for like an hour and you only get like 3 minutes to talk. So it's not a lot. So I like to hear what other people are saying, and then I'll put my opinion in there on my own show. So make sure you check it out, Cedric's Combat Corner. Yeah. Shout out to Win City Sports. Peace.